I was going to do a brief introduction, but we did get, he's only been here a couple of days, so we don't have that yet. So I'm sure at the end of the meeting, when he has his moment, he'll tell us about it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, big congratulations. So let's move on. I'm ready to call the roll. What did you just say? Yes.
Jen,
Here.
Rick Rapp,
Here.
Mr. Mahoney,
Here.
Mr. Caldwell,
Here.
Mr. Watson,
Here.
Mr. Caldwell. Did you say here? Rick?
But you already called me.
Did I call you? I really like you, Rick. I'm there.
I can tell. And I can tell you how much I like you.
Twice.
All right.
I'm here. Thank you, ma'am. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes of previous meetings. Everybody had a chance to review the minutes, and I'll take a motion to approve them in mass.
That motion.
Got a
I'll second it.
first and a second, Mark first, Rick second. All in favor, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mark. We have a guest today that's going to speak about the JVSC program. Mark Mathis is originally from Memphis, Tennessee. I assume you don't want to read this whole thing, so, but originally from Memphis, Tennessee, he enlisted in the Marine Corps in '91 as a combat engineer. He served in numerous positions as a recruiter, chief operations in multiple different commands. He actually worked at headquarters Marine Quantico in Arlington, Virginia. He deployed on several occasions in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom. And he retired in 2016 as a master sergeant after 25 years of active duty. Mark has since worked worked with JVSC since you retired. Yeah. And he's our speaker today. And Mark, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thanks. I don't want to stand in anyone's way. It's like
Wherever you're going. Wherever you're going.
Pick you up because we want to make sure that those who are joining us online,
Okay.
if you're saying just want to stay somewhat close.
Gotcha. But yeah, like I was talking to the director earlier, when I retired, I just wanted to remain around veterans, those who support veterans, which is what, I couldn't ask for a better transition to JVSG. So, if you want, do you have a clicker? Can I just ask you to?
You need to
click?
say next.
Yes. So JVSG Jobs for Veterans State Grants. That is the name of our program. So what it is it's a formula grant to 54 state workforce agencies, 50 states and territories. Come next Monday with the new president coming in, that might be 154 state workforce agencies. We'll see how that goes. But we are a standalone program within Department of Workforce Development for the state of Indiana. And we are 100% funded by Department of Labor, by DOLX. That's where all of our funding comes from. And I'd like to thank you, Odets, Mike Thompson, for joining us today as well. So what we do is we create relationships with businesses and veteran organizations across the entire state of Indiana. We assist transitioning service members that relocate to Indiana. We help them with the hotel stay. We help them one-on-one with their transition out of the military into the civilian sector. And a transitioning service member can be someone who's about to transition out. We did it for 4 years. If they're within 12 months of transitioning, we can actually touch them and start working. If they're within 2 years of retirement, we can start working with those individuals as well. Get them credit for the civilian sector, moving back to Indiana. We're housed within the AJC's, American Jobs Center, Indiana, we call them Work Ones. Everyone's familiar with the Work Ones. I don't want to see any. Work One. But we focus on enrollments into the state system, co-enrollments with partner agencies, with internal and external partners, such as IDVA is one of our partners that we work with. We have over 40 staff. We actually have 41 staff. That's over 40. So we have 40 staff covering every county in the state. Next slide, please. So we have two positions in JVSG. One is a lever, bunch of acronyms here. So I can send this slide presentation to everyone here if you like it. We have levers and DevOps. So the levers work directly with employers. And we advocate on behalf of all veterans who are in gaining employment. We facilitate employment training, placement services. We're embedded within each business services team within the work environment. So we're not lone wolves out there going rogue. We have a strategic approach to targeting businesses within the work environment. We do community outreach, that presentations with chambers of commerce, EDCs, any size business, whether they're small, medium, large. If they say they're veteran friendly, we want to know what makes them veteran friendly. And we're going to tell the veteran story. So if they're not veteran friendly, over time, they will. Our history of what we do. So it's just maintaining relationship. I just shake their hand, but we want to create that. Next slide, please. The DevOps. DevOps do not work with businesses. They work with veterans. So DevOps are the ones that provide intensive services, individualized career services, that's what we call them. They develop plans for the veteran. Our end goal for JVSG is employment. But when we get a veteran, you rarely see a veteran saying, hey, I'm ready to go to work, let's do it. There's usually some barriers that these veterans have. So our goal is to assist that veteran in overcoming every single barrier they have before they gain their ideal. We want to make sure everything is good to go. A lot of this we have the ability and capacity to do. Some we don't. So we have partners, IDVA, DSOs. These are individuals we talk to on a daily basis to make sure the veteran has everything they need. The homeless, underemployed, you name it, whatever it is, we're going to take care of that veteran before they get it. Sometimes the DevOps may contact the employer on behalf of the veteran in some circumstances. The bottom line is take care of the veteran. That's what we do. Next slide. Okay, locations covered in DWD. We have 12 workforce regions. We're housed in every single region, 24 regions. We have comprehensive offices. We have affiliate offices as well. We can meet with veterans anywhere, virtually, in person, in the office, out of the office, you name it. If veterans have issues with transportation, we'll go meet that veteran where it's the best one. 100% of our staff are veterans. Actually, 100% of our staff are disabled veterans, which is a requirement for one of our sections of DVA. That's in order for them to relate to a fellow veteran. It's assistance. Next slide, please. And when we talk about some of the barriers that veterans might have, these are a few of the barriers that we run across quite a bit. And if they receive VA compensation, they qualify for our service. So this is what qualifies a veteran for us to provide services to. If they have an intent to file, which I'm sure IDPA are aware of the intent to file, in terms of that, that means that, they should be receiving compensation, so that's qualified. And that could be up to 12 months. Vietnam era veterans recently separated from active duty. So recently separated, that's 36 months. So if you're within 3 years of exiting the military, that's automatic for us to actually case manage that veteran in work. Unemployed, 1 day, qualified for services. If you're a single parent, head of household, that qualifies. If you self-identify and have any disability listed under Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, that qualifies. So if you know the veteran that wants services from JDSG, pretty much they're gonna get those services. We're gonna make sure they're under these qualifications. Next slide, please. Okay, some additional info. We work directly with employers, along with the business services team. It's a lot of federal benefits. We're hiring disabled veterans, work opportunity tax credit, federal bonding. There's also some initiatives that Department of Labor has, Higher Vets Medallion Program, which is a monetary value, it's recognition for companies that hire veterans. We're a member of the NASWA, if you're familiar with NASWA, so that's out here. National Association of State Workforce Agencies. That's someone that I talk to weekly, if not daily. As counterparts across the United States, make sure we're all on the same page, what are ideas out there. We're embedded with local community. We're embedded with the VA and with the IDVA. We actually got one lever in IDVA sitting right there, here on the tracks. We've been embedded in this building with IDVA for several years. Obviously, that's not something we talk about today, but as we mentioned, it's a relationship. A lot of it's beneficial for veterans. We have unlimited access to resources. Like I said, we can't do it all, but we have so many partners, relationships. Just reach across the table and say, hey, we have a veteran, it's in need, she's in need of this, help out. No, this organization. So this is the sum. Next slide. These are some numbers from 2024. Some of the services we provide to businesses. So everything that we do is documented in the state's workforce system through case management and how we contact businesses, detailed case notes. What do we do when we contact a business? Did we provide economic development, strategic planning? Did we access labor pools previously untapped? So that way there's a record or relationship how we build it. We also created 563 job orders, jobs in state system. And that's a result of pretty much job development, contact orders. DevOps, we're the case manager, so we want to work with the veterans. Case manage over 1,100 veterans with over 750 successful access to employment, which is our goal. We also work directly with the Homeless Veteran Reintegration Program, which is a program of DOLS. And that's something that Daryl, Steve, also works with here at IDVA. Average funding that we get from DOL is about $3.5 million per year that we budget. Like I say, it's the grant is based off of unemployment and veterans from the workforce that can fluctuate a little bit each year, but We have about 3.5 billion. Fund.
Yeah, so first bullet, so the local veteran employment representatives are providing economic development and strategic planning services to businesses.
Yes. So in the state system, it's called Engage. That's the state of Indiana. And there's 8 different services that we can provide. And these are just some of the services we provide. So,
I'm just not, like, what does it look like for something like that to provide economic development services to a business?
I might be able to speak on that. I was a leader.
Yeah.
pretty decent.
Yeah, I ran in DC, Carroll County for 4 years. So I think if we have a strategic initiative to attract veterans to the community, that this would be a place that we would tap into the levers to be able to meet with our employers, to be able to integrate the system to get our veterans into the community, and to really codify that plan and allow them to provide input. So
Interesting.
I have not personally, but I know that there are communities that want to attract veterans. And this program is, it's how to do that. It's not like people side, it's the business side.
Interesting. So, so to clarify just a little bit more, so if a leaver works with the Chamber of Commerce, with existing businesses in the community, we're going to provide supportive services for those businesses. Leavers can work with the EDC for businesses that are interested in coming in to Indiana and provide incentives, television story, to give them more of a reason to come.
Interesting. Okay.
Is that?
Sure. Yeah. But no, yeah.
Can I ask, Mark, can you give a little bit of that information about what the bigger deal? That way it'll help them see the bigger picture.
Oh, which part? You gotta remind me, because
Tim, you know, he's got some things, Tim, the secretary, this, that, because it's their values.
oh, Secretary of, yeah, Secretary of Labor, Department of Labor. He came because, one of our leaders developed relationships with companies, electronic vehicles, providing these new additions. That they were working together to get the word out. And it attracted so many veterans that it attracted the attention of the Department of Labor. So the assistant secretary came down, personally met with one of our leaders, told the story, went back, published it, went action. So there's a lot of things to gain from that, not just, have down, but sharing the wealth. That's the reason we're part of the national organization, so we can share our stories and ideas. And a good thing is a lot of these ideas are coming from the state of Indiana. So, yeah, we're some leaders.
Mark, I have a couple, do you have more slides?
Just about 12 more.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Well, I just, a couple of questions. We've worked with several different, and provided grants to several different homeless programs, for vets. And do we have a method for getting that information to the workforce people so that the veterans that are homeless, most of them need a job?
Oh, yes,
I
we
mean,
do.
so do we have a mechanism within the IDVA that we give grants to homeless, just like we did it in Evansville last year? We gave a grant to the large homeless unit down there. And, they're probably one of the few places that there's no actual homeless vets. Do we have a direct relationship between that and getting those people to you?
Yes, so that's not our grant, it's not.
No, not your grant. It's a grant we give to that organization.
The Department of Labor, DOL vets, and we partner with that. And Mike, do you want to speak on that real quick?
Sure. So we have 5 HDRs, Mark mentioned earlier, great team service state would be in the Iowa Equity Housing. So they had CEO of Equity Housing, $100 billion from us. They also go around charity donation type of things. So that partnership is this with the CEO of the solution. Grants for better services, yes. And so those kind of partnerships together help complement part of it. And with, so as a grantee, because they pull $1 billion to connect veterans to IDVA, the Veterans and Walk is very board, 777, to connect all the other partnerships to come together to get a single picture and sort of that.
But what I'm pushing at though is the veterans that walk through the door of that homeless agency in Evansville or Kokomo or wherever we have one at, do they have a way that they get connected to you guys?
Yes,
Okay, that's what I was driving at, because
okay,
those people need a job, and, you know, if we get them a job, then they're no longer homeless. You know, they can move out and somebody else can take that spot. So,
There are details that are embedded in it, yet we HPRP program.
okay,
yeah.
that's what I need.
It's sort of veteran program letters, federal guidance, federal policy that states this is what happens when a veteran walks in to a shelter as part of the HVRP program. This is how they get connected to JP's chief. It's spelled out.
And then my next question is, and I assume Joe's not going to answer if I'll shut up, but I'll ask it first. Do you work closely with the county veteran service organizations and all the county veteran service officers we have in the state? Hopefully, they all know about your programs, that you make sure that they get that information.
Yes, and that's why we love having staff embedded with IDVA.
Right.
To, you know, if anything comes down without, you know, we make sure we can touch every veteran, to know, hey, this is what's going on, see, so this is why you want to see them. We refer back and forth, see these things.
Good.
Probably daily. Next slide, please. Okay, resources. I'm done with the presentation, so these are just some resources for you. This is our site, JVSG site on for Department of Workforce Development. I mentioned veteran program letters. There's a couple of letters up there, and Department of Labor, DOL vets, where you can see all of their programs as well. And I didn't see this out, but everyone, we'll take care of that. So, other than that, I have 4 contacts for you on the next slide, which is myself, and there's 3 managers for the state. And there's a map to show you which regions they cover, pretty much the north, central, and south. So you can feel free to reach out to myself or any one of us if you have any question about anything.
Or to make it even easier for you, reach out to one of these 2 right here, and they'll make sure, and he's busy, but get back. Sorry.
But they're on the 4th floor right now, so they get this.
Yeah.
You located?
What's the, sorry, what's the connection with infants?
We do not have a formal MOU with vets. I work with, I think they call me ambassador. There are other states. So how I work with vets is if someone, if they're representative of North Carolina, says, hey, I got a veteran who wants to move back to North Carolina, wants to move back to Indiana. I can arrange hotel stay for them in Indiana, as long as they have a job interview scheduled. And I link them up with IDVA. So it's the warm hand. That's pretty much our extent and looking at.
The best part about connection is that Mark is the director of the Johnny Veteran State Grant Program. I'm Mark's division director under this development. I'm on the board for events, so the connection flows, trust me. Board meetings, board information, things that are happening in events. Regular. Yeah.
Yeah, my misunderstanding, it's like a similar mission, just like different funding sources.
I don't,
Right, federal grant, yeah, where invents gets their money is not, they have a lot of fighting. It's a little more of a challenge for them, where our system program are made for veteran public training. And it's still all,
and you might correct me, Mike, but our program, JVSG, has been around just after World War II, the late 1940s. It's when it started to develop close. It is. leavers after Vietnam, DEVA after Vietnam. So our program's been around for a long time. I don't think we're going to.
It's codified in the seventies, there was a, yeah, prior to the IMF, once in the conference, because they did out there, what we had, the services that were being provided was codified in all of that, so we wrote it. It's just, getting better.
Okay, that's fine. That is it. Unless you have any more.
Mark, the only other thing I would say is you need to talk to all the BSOs in the state and present at their conventions, because I guarantee you half of them don't know.
I'll take that picture. We're hearing.
Because he's a former state commander. I don't know how much he knew about what you did. He's a former state commander of the Legion. I'm a former state commander of the VFW. I had no idea it existed. And I'm a Vietnam era veteran. So thank God I've never been unemployed. So,
We'll talk at any.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you should reach out to them. If you got, reach out to people, you should reach out to them and tell them you'd like to come present at their conferences. I assure you, they don't know about it. Do you think so, Mark?
Absolutely. And I want to speak for Allen County that we do have regular communication with our leader about quarterly. They'll kind of have a meeting with our office and we'll kind of share with kind of any updates of what we're doing. And so we have the open line of communication with our DEVA leader in Allen County. It's really good. So they are present and we're kind of referring to them quite often. So that card is, I have a stack of his cards on my desk and I'm handing that out. Anytime the veteran says they need employment, we're sending them to WD, to DEVOP. So they're in regular communication. But if your local DEVOPs leaders reach out and ask for those meetings, those county service offices, I think that could be a good meet in the middle, just kind of spearhead them.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate you asking me and invite me here.
Really appreciate it, Mark. Very, very good. I've learned a lot here. I appreciate it very much.
That's all I have.
Any other questions, anybody?
If I could just start one thing about INVETS and the funding, in the last budget cycle, they got $2 million from the General Assembly to help fund that work that they do. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
All right, thanks, Mark. All right, moving along. Gabrielle, it's your turn.
Thank you. So as you all know, we have the Grants for Veteran Services Program. We run that annually contemporaneous with the state fiscal year. So that means our grants start on July 1st. We usually put the solicitation out in the end of March or the beginning of April, and then we will ultimately score the grants. Last year, for the first time, we added on our scoring panel one of the commissioners, and that worked great. It was Kevin. And he said to me, I'm sure he was not just being nice, that it was great, that he loved looking at the applications, providing feedback from his experience, hearing the feedback from us. And he asked me if we would make sure to continue that. And so that is my ask here today, is if one of you would like to volunteer to join our scoring panel when we score those grant applications in the spring. Do not all volunteer.
All here.
Anyone else like to?
I'll sit in if it's okay. I mean, I don't have to be an official, but I'd like to sit in. I'd like to see it.
Thank you. Joe, we'll get in touch with you as the date gets closer, but we didn't want to wait to the next meeting to have the discussion.
That's great. Looking forward to it.
Right along, be ready for the next. It's
The next one.
It's you again. So,
At this point, this will be very quick. We don't have an update on the rule. It is still off over at the Office of Management Budget. And just with the changes going on in state government, it will, we'll hear something one way or the other.
Hopefully it does. I didn't say that. Excuse me. Annual report. Joe, yeah, there he is. I know. The floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. Does anybody want a hard copy? I got one. Everybody? Well done. So as usual, I will go ahead and take the next 2 hours and read this word by word for everybody. I jest. Take a look. You guys have seen it before. Our layout is, while current and crisp looking, follows the same as usual. So we have our division reports in there, your first page. We're gonna have a little bit of our Indiana statistics for veterans across the state. I'll let you know most of that data, all that data comes from our partners at Measuring Communities with the Military Family Research Institute. So that's a quick snapshot of how things are looking across the state. Then when you go through, we'll have our personnel. Keep in mind, this is FY 24. So this goes through July 1st of this past summer. So at that point, your pre-read show your first quarter data, which will be wrapped up for the annual report next year. So this is June 30, 23. No, July 1, 23, June 30, 24 is what this period covers. Absolutely. Once you get through, you can see these handsome pictures of this great staff that we have here at IDVA. And then when we get through that, into our actual separate divisions, I'll hit a couple highlighted things just on each page for you guys to see. On page 7 in the annual report, you see our training and services, where we've got, we've continued to maintain all our 6 district service officers positions are filled. And if I'm correct in my assessment, we are 100% former CVSOs in our district service officer jobs, which I think is great. They bring a wealth of experience from that role to then helping and assisting with their district county offices. So I think that's a great thing. Another really great thing you can see in our little green section there, 90 out of 92 offices at the end of the fiscal year had accredited service officers in them, and 29 accredited assistant service officers across the state as well. So that's great. And we did, I don't know if I have on here, yep, VetraSpec accounts. So 162 total VetraSpec accounts being utilized at the end of the fiscal year. 89 of those you can see sponsored by IDVA. So what IDVA does is we provide one at no cost for each county veteran service office. And if they have support staff or other folks who want to then have access to that system, then they pay that piece. And that's where that extra total comes from. So great numbers again on our different veteran benefits that we do with our tuition and fees and plates and property taxes, and some more data there for you. I'll skip on to page 8, Military Family Relief Fund. And we got a lot of good details on here, but you can see our total expenditures in the fiscal year, over 877,000. So that's a great year for us again in helping out our veterans across the state in a time of need. Got a good chart there showing you on our applications process as well, which we are, the majority of our applications are approved, which is great as well. We jump to the next page, State Approving Agency. This is always my most arduous report for you guys because we have our fiscal year and they operate on the federal fiscal year, which is October, I believe it starts. So it's hard to get the data square, but this is this gives you some of the idea of what they're doing with their apprenticeship programs. And the bar graph is real interesting in showing the different facilities across the state that are GI approved that they're working with. And you can see, interesting that 69 are non-college degree schools, 23 on-site job training facilities. So that's really great that the GI Bill is traditionally, you think of college, but there's other opportunities for our veterans to take advantage of with their GI Bill benefits across the state. So I know the folks there are always working diligently to go out there and not just to maintain the accreditation for our folks who have GI Bill, our units across the state that can utilize GI Bill. They're also recruiting as much as they can to add more to that list. If we jump to the legal and legislative page, I'd like to give Gabrielle the opportunity, is there anything specific you wanted to highlight here?
You're on a roll, Joe.
What I want to highlight is if you can see, I might have to go to 2 pages because the activity is great. There's so much to report here. But you can see the event sponsorship program is doing great. Quick update on that or on how that works is if you're not familiar, we have the opportunity, we want to make sure veteran events are important across the state, especially in all communities. So we can't be everywhere and do everything, but we want to do all we can to encourage that and support that across the state. And it also helps us understand who's doing what and gives us opportunities. So this program is an application program on our website. If a community, a nonprofit in the community, so any registered nonprofit in the state of Indiana can apply. And as long as they're hosting or partnering with somebody to put on a community event that's free to the public, and it's open to the public, and it's celebrating or honoring their local veteran community, we can sponsor up to $500 for them to put that event on. So it's a great opportunity for them to either take some events and create that veteran opportunity to it, or even just to have an event in their community to celebrate them. So I think it works really great on the community ends. It gives them that opportunity to find partnerships, create and grow, and directly engage their veteran community. And it's great on our end too, because it's once again helping us develop our Rolodex of all the different nonprofits and organizations across the state. And it's also great because it gives us an opportunity to then go to that event, learn about what they're doing, set up a resource table, connect with our district service officers and sometimes our CVSO partners to go and be a part of that event and make those connections. So it's a great way for them to grow. You can see also on here, the grants for veteran services, almost all 100% spent in fiscal year, which is amazing. That's Brooklyn, Gabrielle and her team's hard work. I know it's just so easy. Everybody does everything perfect and it's a piece of cake.
Perfect, and the reimbursement's perfect.
Oh,
You
yeah.
never have to call anybody, they're on time, it's great.
It is a lot of hard work and congratulations to Brooklyn on that because I know it is a lot of hard work, but once again, the opportunity for us to seed, foster, and get those folks who are already out there doing that. There's so many great organizations and people across the state working hard for veterans. And this is a way for us as an agency to support them and help them grow in what they do and create opportunities too, because with the grants for veteran services, we have organizations apply that may not have addressed the veteran community, but are using this opportunity too. So now they can expand their reach and get more understanding of the veterans in their community with the services they provide.
Joe, are these grants open for anybody?
These are the grants Gabrielle was talking about, any nonprofit registered in the state of Indiana addressing one of the 6 parameters of the grants.
Great, thank you.
Indiana codes that support the purpose areas that have to be used with the grant funds, but they are incredibly diverse. Everything from homelessness to job readiness. The most recent addition was preventing veteran suicide. So anything that could be done to help prevent veteran suicide would apply for this grant. That even includes non-traditional therapy, traditional therapy, really any service that would benefit the veterans of Indiana could apply for this grant from any nonprofit.
Great, thank you.
All right, and on page 11, you'll see we have 2 pages there for our outreach communications folks. On page 11, we got some highlights of our WinVets program, our Women of Indiana who are veterans.
I just always like to point out that Joe does the annual report and his division takes 2 pages where something that's one.
You know,
Just want to point that out.
it's funny how that works out. Yeah, yes. But our WinVets program has been ever expanding. Laura is doing an amazing job with that, not only with the programming that we do in Indiana, but Laura is nationally known. And she's leaned upon and queried on from the federal VA in Washington. She's held presidentiary, now has leadership roles with the National Association of State Women Veteran Coordinators. So she brings a lot of great opportunities and resources to Indiana and really shines for Indiana, but nationwide. Some of the highlights there is our Women Veterans Wellness Retreats we dove into a couple of years ago, and they have really just blown up, exploded. We sell them out in a week. We do all we can to keep expanding. This works in a great partnership with the parks in DNR. So we have our retreats at different state parks that have the inns and facilities. So the women veterans get to go to the state park, enjoy those facilities. We utilize them for different programming throughout the weekend. And like I said, you can see 98% superific rating from our attendance. And I think it works out really well. The parks have been great in partnering with us and standardizing a package, even though we go to the different places. And parks are great too, because it gives us an opportunity to work around the state, different regions, because they're located in really good places for that. So our next one coming up is, and it's at Turkey Run. Thanks.
While you're talking, Laura, how many female veterans did you have at your last retreat? That's improved.
We also brought in the veterans from the officers and the feedback from the veterans for the keep them and not letting them continue a relationship with our veterans service officers and the veterans and also go out for their friends and we've been a very responsive part of the week those service officers.
And probably have the information on the and do you have a pretty good mix from all over the state, or were they mostly got our area, or were they pretty well spread out all over the state?
The last one that we had was in the voting city government, we want to say. So it's owned by the northern tier of Michigan and Ohio, and we still got a lot of our people on the southern side and everything else. But we put it that's what we're trying to do with our rules, getting everyone involved in it. I think that we had started and a challenge. So a lot of the parks, you know, the television watching that fits that one's now like way veterans. So pretty much it would be something that's separate from parents. We have asked them to move with each other and it's been beneficial for everyone. They're enjoying it. It's working out.
Great work.
Yeah, we're trying to get everybody involved.
It is great. And the camaraderie and Facebook groups are made. It's an amazing thing. And one thing that I think is really interesting to point out is Laura was cataloging the number of women, veteran service officers and assistant service officers total in the state.
Yeah, I keep throwing up and down, but they have actually 33 that are either CVS or office. Instead of also the credit.
Right on. Also on that page, you'll see a little bit about our governor's challenge. Brian and the team been working diligently. We are rolled off the edge and we're doing the programming with counties across the state, running the grant programming. Our new staff working on suicide prevention, intervention, and postvention are doing great work. They've gathered a lot of information. And now we're disseminating that throughout the state and really bringing those specific areas to our county coalitions, and programs just going great. And we're off and running and the team is looking good. Leslie is part of the team here at IDVA and she's takes all the madness and puts it on spreadsheets and it's pretty amazing. So
Part of how many counties do we have?
Right now, I think we're at 6 in there. We've been wanted to be real detailed on how we did that, and data driven. So our great partnership with Military Family Research Institute. Once we had our plan kind of designed and how we wanted to interact with communities, they worked really hard over the 2 years that we've been putting all this together. And they were able to create a risk index for the communities based on county. And what they did was they found and developed 10 factors that can contribute to suicidal ideation that are equally measurable across all 92 counties. So that would be access to mental health care, the digital divide, bad mental health days. And so these 10 that are all equally measurable. So they took those and they do their data stuff and it created an index score for every county from 0 to 5. 0 least at risk, 5 most at risk. It doesn't mean one's gonna have more suicides than the other, but it's a data way to get that score. Once the score was done, then they also developed the data that they have, because they're a worldwide leader in veteran and military data. So then they look at populations for each county. So that would be population of veterans, active National Guard and military dependents, spouses, and those other populations. And when they do the data smash with that and the index score, it actually provides us a list of counties from most at risk to least at risk. Once again, by data, not necessarily saying what will happen. That gives us that opportunity, and now we're focusing on the 20, the top 20 is where we're starting there. Is that Mr. Bogue? It looks like he's got a question. If you're asking an electronic version of the annual report, when we're done today, Gabrielle, I think, has given me the move it along, but when we're done today, we're gonna have the commission will go to approve the annual report. We don't know if the commission approves the annual report. And I will keep things moving. On the next page, we got a lot of data about all the hard work Salon has been putting in with our website and our social media. And you can see all those numbers as well on there. Our newsletter continues to grow, which is amazing. We got some great numbers on that. And like I said, with full of our social media and our website visits. So that'll wrap up. Oh, and then we got the military veteran cemetery down in Madison. Continuing to do the great work. One thing I'll highlight on there is we've got 5 National Guard burials. So we've worked with the legislature to be able to, we were unable to do services for National Guard because of the federal aspect of the funding. And so we're able to now with our own funding do our National Guard veterans as well. So that's a great highlight there. And then at the Indiana Veterans Home on the last page, there's some information there about where we're at with our residents and our new residents. And the one thing I'll highlight on there is want to say thanks to the DAV, ELKS, VFW Auxiliary, American Legion Post 502, and the Legion Riders from 502 for their hard work in helping to bring that new recreation bus to the facility. So, you know, it's been great for them and the residents. Any questions?
Looking at training and services, I was looking for some numbers on service officers with PEMS access. Do you have any numbers on that?
Get it for you.
I think it's important that we know PEMS access is to service members that have the ability to kind of see inside the VAs where they can kind of look on the backside of our assisting service members. We think it's important that all service officers are accredited. So I think it's good to maybe see some of these numbers possible.
PIP card holders.
PIP card holders, yes. Sir.
Yep. All right. We can do that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Very good, Joe. Thank you, sir.
All right. So I think I'll let you guys approve it. Sure can.
Yes, if all possible.
I'll take a motion to approve the annual report.
So moved.
Go first and second. Any discussion on the annual report? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Grant update, Gabrielle Owens.
Thank you. I'm going to start with our nonprofit partner, even though it is not a grant. We run the nonprofit partner like it's a grant opportunity. We put a solicitation out to the community. We look for nonprofits serving the veteran community to apply. And then we choose our nonprofit partner of the year, who we partner with for different fundraising events, most notably the IDVA golf outing that's held in the spring. And then they receive the proceeds from those fundraising events. After great debate, and Joe and I yelling at each other a little, we decided at East Orchard, they do agribusiness. What they would do with our funds that they receive from the fundraising events is they provide grants to veterans who would like to start a farm and look at that as business. And so that would help them with equipment and other needs as it relates to starting a farm as a business. And we contacted them, let them know they were awarded, and they were just over the moon at the opportunity. We as a committee, when we scored those, just were so excited to delve into an area that is not historically something that the department has been engaged with. And it honors the agricultural tradition of the state. So we just thought that was a great pick. Moving on to GVS for FY25, the Grants for Veteran Services Program. We currently have 16 grantees. They are all listed on our website, along with links you can click on. If you click on their logo on our website, it will take you straight to their website if you wanted to learn more about them. We grant out $429,000 and some change to them. And to date, about 115,000 of that amount has been reimbursed to them, because of course they are all reimbursement grants. Moving on to the 5 Veteran Service Organization grants, and of course we all know that is to the VFW, the American Legion, DAV, AMVETS, and Vietnam Veterans of America. We award $1.2 million in grant funds, and so far over 219,000 have been reimbursed. Moving on to the Governor's Challenge grants, we have a lot of them. Joe spoke often about MFRI at Purdue, the Military Family Research Institute. We grant to them $375,310 for the work that they do for the Governor's Challenge, for that data and collaboration with us to make the Governor's Challenge successful. We have planning grants that we give out to the community coalitions. So far, we have awarded 3 planning grants. They're to the Hamilton County Community Coalition, the Allen County Community Coalition, and then to Johnson County. Those 3 together are a little over $67,000, with over $55,000 of that reimbursed to them. In moving to the implementation grants for Governor's Challenge, this is after they have had a plan together. They can apply for an implementation grant to actually get started doing the work that's in the plan. We currently have 2 implementation grants, Hamilton County and Allen County, and those total about $340,000. Then the biggest piece of the pie currently with the Governor's Challenge grants is what we fondly call the nonprofit Governor's Challenge grants. There are 14 veteran-serving nonprofits throughout Indiana who receive those grant funds, totaling just a hair under $808,000 awarded. $280,000 of that has been reimbursed so far to those 14 grantees. Moving on to the Indiana Semi-Quincentennial Commission. For fiscal year 24 and fiscal year 25, we have granted money to the Indiana Semi-Quincentennial Commission. It was $50,000 in FY24, $75,000 in FY25, and we have connected all those funds to that commission for their work on Indiana's version of the United States Semi-Quincentennial. Lastly, there's 2 grants at the Indiana Veterans Home that I wanted to highlight. The first is the Nurse Retention and Recruitment Grant. We received that from federal VA. We have now received it for the 2nd year in a row. It is $125,000 total. It's a 50-50 match with the federal VA. So $67,500 is out of state money, and $67,500 comes from the federal VA. And this has just been amazing for our nurse retention and recruitment there at the home. By way of a quick story, there is an individual who has worked at the Veterans Home as part of the nursing staff for over 30 years. And they had the pleasure of awarding him a retention bonus of over $5,000 of this program. And he wept because he was so moved to have his service recognized to the home. And he never dreamt that something like that would be available to him. And so as I understand it, there was a lot of tears all around as they awarded that to him. Lastly is a construction grant for the Veterans Home. We are still waiting for the official word from federal VA that we have received it, but we are recommended for approval is the official term from federal VA. So we don't celebrate until we get the official word that we're approved, but we are obviously excited by the recommended for approval. That grant would be in excess of $800,000 and would address ingress and egress from the home to keep residents in danger of eloping from the facility as safe as possible while giving them the freedom to enjoy the services around the home, but ensuring their safety and not being able to leave the confines of the facility where once they were out of the facility, bad things could happen. So that is my grant update.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am. Any questions for Gabby? On the grant? Remember the golf outing, if you haven't got the email, then you should have, right? Everybody in the room should have got the email on the golf outing. Be sure to sign up. The next update will be from Mark on legislative, but Mark, you're on the clock. We still got time. We still got time.
As you know, the legislative session just started. There's approximately 21 veteran-related bills, 9 from the Senate, 12 from the House. The big four will be going over all these and hopefully support most of them. I'm very interested from Joe and IDVA about House Bill 344 and 433. So I don't know if somebody could speak on those.
Get to the state first.
Obviously, as you said, we are still new into the session, so we're still digesting all the bills that are out there. We're obviously aware of those two that address CVSOs. Our posture, of course, is that we want to serve the needs of Indiana's veterans in the best mechanism available.
Is there any turning point with that? Because I think I would like to hear a little bit more from the state on their position on that, if at all possible, before we kind of respond.
So I think that, in regards to CBS bill is in its current form. I just think of these changes, in its current form, it's not advantageous to try to implement that kind of strategy with the current infrastructure that we have. So I know that's vague as well. But no, as it currently sits, I think it needs work, and spent the last 3 days of my job working to get that language in a better position. So I think at this point, we want to gather more information and input from the community to figure out what is that and what works and what doesn't work. So frankly, we'd like to hear objections just flat out to it and why. So I think that's thing that can necessarily be as this legislation moves on. So
I don't have much to say about 344 because I didn't know that was going to be out there. The other one, 433, the one that Senator Ball reported, I knew that was coming, and that Senator Ball understands that there will be changes made, demonstrating the process. And I talked to him when I was kind of, Director Adams has talked to him, and I think he would chose. Getting ready to. So.
We don't agree with the bill in its current state. We think it's a step backwards, not a step forwards.
Whatever you say, please.
The Indiana representing the Indiana Veterans Association. So who I get to represent here in this position, we don't feel this is a step in the right direction. We feel as if this is an opportunity for dialogue. We feel as if we could be part of that conversation. We have yet to be part of that conversation for any of the verbiage in this bill. So we're looking forward to that conversation. But where it's at right now, we do not agree.
Appreciate my question.
Yeah. Any other,
Nope, that's all I have.
anybody else have any questions or comments on legislation? I know it, everybody here knows I've been involved with legislation with Park and everybody. I'm sure we'll have different positions as the session goes along. And of course, we won't have another committee or meeting till after, commission meeting till after the session. That would be pretty close. Yeah, it should go. Yeah, hopefully. But, you know, I would like to keep the lines of communication open, especially on bills that are a little bit controversial. I'd like to, you know, if you have been put on, whether talk to me or Mark, or Mark will be testifying, I'll be testifying. Unfortunately, Joe will be testifying. Alex, so. Keep communication. All right. Next, we're to public comment. We have anybody online?
Jason and Robert. The other ones are Tim, Phil, and Gary. They're upstairs.
Okay. So is there any public comment? Hearing none, I guess we can move on. The director's report, Director Adams.
I just don't have a written report, but I want to thank all of you. This opportunity, I will tell you that I'm certainly not taking it lightly. The fact that I was a 10-year active duty veteran, born and raised here in Indiana. I take this personally, and I know, and today is really setting the tone that you all do and all the great work that you're doing. And so I do want to just briefly talk about a couple things that are important that I feel are, and I welcome your feedback as I begin to try to help your work. One of them is this year we're going to start looking at a strategic plan for IDVA. And so our goal is to try to align what we're doing with what you're doing in the veterans community to give us a North Star on what our goals and objectives are. So we do a lot of great work. And in that work, we sometimes don't always track or show that success. We want to be able to do that real clear. And so the work you're doing is going to go into that. Our partners are also going to be at the table for the strategic plan as well. So our goal is to invite input from everyone moving forward. Secondly, I will be working intergovernmentally to build relationships and priorities for veterans. That's a task that I'm going to take on. That's going to include Commission of Higher Ed, Ivy Tech, our educational systems, as well as state government as well, FSSA, DCS. They have systems and processes that help constituents. And the question I get to ask is what are those processes doing to prioritize veterans? And can they? And so my goal would be to work across these agencies to ensure that they're prioritizing veterans within that. And if they don't, how can we implement those strategies as well? So, and the final thing is I want to tell our story, and that'll go off the back of the strategic plan, I believe. So, how can we tell the world, the country, the state of Indiana, and the veterans that want to come here, that are here, that all the work we're doing. Like I said, we're humble by nature. I think Hoosiers are in general, and so to be able to, if you have a great story or a veteran that's been served that wants to tell people, I think IDVA wants to be a vehicle to be able to do that. So we can put it on a platform, not only for the other veterans to build trust, the legislators to pass laws, and the administration to continue to support what we do. So that's really all I have.
Thank you. We're to adjournment, but I have complete, first of all, welcome to the director. I look forward to, I think everybody in the commission will look forward to working. We want to figure out a way of recognizing our previous director. I think he's done a fabulous job in his 6-year term. And I think as a commission, we should come up with some formal recognition for Dennis. I don't know what that is yet. With Gabrielle, maybe Joe. I got a good idea, which is like something I think. So we'll work out something and we'll communicate with the commission. Make sure it's something we approve of. But I think we need to come up with something that recognizes differences tenure here. And like I said, I don't know what that is. Second of all, I do agree with the director wholeheartedly that Joe does a fabulous job of outreach and getting information out to veterans. But I think we need to tune our horn and get information out to the the general population of the state and to our legislators. I think a lot of them don't know what we really do and how much services we provide to the veterans in the state of Indiana. I don't think that happens. And I know as a state agency, you can only do so much of employee report, but I think we have to figure out if it's not the employees, maybe it's the commissioners that we have to go out and talk about what the IDVA does and what we're going on, because I don't think the general population of saving that knows what we do. I mean, like the amount of MF, I saw Ben sitting over there, I think that the amount of MFR employees that we, the people who refer to workforce development, all that, I don't think the people in the state of Indiana understand that. You know, I think they need to know what the IDVA is doing for veterans, because we have a huge veteran population. We have, what, over 400,000 veterans in the state. You know, Joe's doing his best to reach out to all those people, but the other people in the state need to know more. I think we need to come up with a way of doing it.
Chairman, I think that we're all aware of the economic development successes in the state of Indiana. That's well advertised, and it's our turn. And so that our goal is to show the state of Indiana what we do for veterans, to the scale that we can.
And I think that has multiple benefits. One is the reduction of suicide among veterans in the state. That's high. We all know that's terribly high. And I think if veterans are more aware, general population is more aware of what we do, maybe we can help some of those veterans. We don't know what causes suicide for the most part, like it's just not. But I think we can help. Letting people know that we're here and what we do. So, and with that, I'll take a motion. Unless, I didn't ask for comments for Rick. Do you have any comments? Or Richard? He doesn't like being called Rick. No.
I did not.
First thing I told the director, I say, I've been here a long time, and my name's Richard. When he came on board, I had to go by Rick. I have just welcome aboard and look forward to working.
Joe?
We're looking forward to the partnership and how we can kind of grow and support each other.
Sue?
Nothing to add, looking forward to working together.
Looking forward to working with you. Gabrielle, you have other comments?
You have all heard enough from me.
I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
So moved. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Thank you for all the people in the audience. We usually don't have this big of a crowd.